Hello everybody, and welcome to Escape to Books. My name is Sarah, and I'm finally back on YouTube. And hopefully I'm finally able to get back into the swing of things here. My video software ended up updating, and I couldn't figure out how to use it after that. So I went back to my original software and bought the pro version of it so I could continue to use it, and hopefully that'll get things up and running again. My videos may still be a little on and off and not every week because the computer that I use is my husband's work laptop and I don't always have access to it. But I'm going to do my best to get us caught up with this video and to go over kind of what we missed in the last few weeks and a really quick rundown. And going forward, I'm going to do the books that I'm going to read for that month, and then any books that I get like a 4 or higher, depending on popularity and how much I feel like maybe they need to have a video or just my enjoyment of it. I will continue to make specific book reviews, but I'm probably not going to do an end of the month review. It was feeling really repetitive for me to do a beginning of the month, a few books, and then an end of the month. And it's not like a slog or anything like that, but I have a hard time with technology, so giving me all this stuff all at once was a little overwhelming. So I'm going to take a step back, and like I said, going forward, I'm going to do a beginning of the month kind of TBR, what I'm going to read, and then I'm going to do, subsequent review videos. And once I get into the swing of things that I get to normal, I'll be able to get this channel up and rolling again. I'm super excited for having 30 subscribers. That's a new thing since I left. I kept fluctuating between 27 and 30 because people kept leaving and coming back or doing whatever. But I seem to be at a solid 30 now, so I'm excited for that. Thank you for watching. And let's get into everything we missed. So I'll start off with the last video that I uploaded was The Bullet That Missed by Richard Osman. And so if you haven't watched that video, please go and take a peek at it. And I will start my book read tour from there. After The Bullet That Missed was The Black Dahlia by James Ellroy. Now this was suggested to me by someone on Likewise, and we talked about it a little bit. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars, and I did enjoy the depth in this book, and I thought that having an obsession like that for another person was absolutely insane. I also watched the movie for this, and I wasn't sure if I was going to continue this series. It is a quartet. I'm going to go ahead and move forward with this series. From what I was told, each series is a different detective and a different altogether story. They're not really linked, but they're kind of told in a separate way. And I found that I really enjoyed the darker style. I will continue on to the next book. Hopefully I get to that this month. But The Black Dahlia got 4 out of 5 stars for me, and I really enjoyed the movie too. My classic for that month was The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. Some classics are hit and miss with me. This one was a little bit of a miss, although I did enjoy it because it was everything that I didn't expect. I didn't read this in high school, and I didn't watch the movie around the same time. I did after I read this. I watched the movie. I gotta say I enjoyed the movie just a little bit more, even though it was very true to the book. After that, I read Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars, and it was a pretty good, I wouldn't call this horror, but it was a pretty good, I guess, kind of thriller-y. I didn't really enjoy the characters per se, but the setting and everything that kind of built up was really fun to read. The main character is trying to get out of her own kind of abusive drug induced past and make something of herself again, and her reasons for getting into drugs and everything is, I guess, pretty par for the course for some people who do end up doing that. It was a great story of, you know, getting past stuff that you didn't really have control over, but then, you know, using drugs as a crutch and coming into this new situation where you find yourself, you know, almost not being believed because of some of them of your past, but also, you know, moving forward through it. Is kind of the underlining story here. Moving forward, I listened to an audiobook that was a full production. I really enjoyed it. It's really short, called The Sleeper and the Spindle by Neil Gaiman and Chris Riedel. So I guess it's a fairy tale retelling, but I really liked the voice acting in it. Like I said, it's really short. It's probably a 2-hour audiobook. I had my son listen to it too because it's really fun. And he said he liked it, even though it was kind of princessy. He said it was like watching a movie in his head, which was pretty cool. After that, I read What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. I didn't realize that this was a retelling when I first started it. I kind of went into this blind, and I had never read Edgar Allan Poe's The Fall of the House of Usher, so this was all really new to me, and I kind of want to go back and read The Fall of the House of Usher, but now, like, this is so ingrained as my first experience that I don't know if I'll be able to enjoy it as much. This was a 5 out of 5 star read for me. I really enjoyed this. After that, I dug into some Ray Bradbury and read The Martian Chronicles. Well, I should say listen to The Martian Chronicles. This was my audiobook. The forward in this kind of tripped me up, and I thought that each of the subsequent stories were separate, and then as you kind of move through, they are kind of all linked together, even though they were all written at separate times, is kind of what my take on it was. The forward is like a little confusing, so I would recommend, if you're going to listen to this, maybe skip the forward if you can. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars because I did enjoy it. Trying to live on Mars and leaving Earth is probably very, very surreal. Nothing I would ever want to do because I'm terrified of space. So my next book was Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. It was my classic for October. Now in high school I think we read a little bit of this, and then we watched a little bit of the movie at the time. So it's been a long time. I don't think I ever read the full story. So I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it a lot. I really liked the characters, and yeah, it's a tragic story. I watched the movie right after, and I enjoyed it too. So both classics that I could now mark off my list. My next book was The 12 by Justin Cronin, the second book in the Passage series. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. The ending for me was a little confusing, but I think I'm after starting the third book, kind of understanding what went on, but it's a great continuation to the first. After that, I've been trying to get back into my Agatha Christie Poirot read-along, readathon. I'm reading them in order of publication, so my next book in that order was Cards on the Table, which is book 15. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I never figure out who did it at the end, and this was another one of those. I recently found NetGalley and have been throwing out some approvals to see, kind of what sticks. And my first one was the Backyard Homestead Guide to Growing Organic Food. I have one of these copies in my library back home. This one's by Tanya Cobb. I really like these. I like to garden. I don't really get to while we're on the road. While we're on the road, I usually just have a tomato plant that I bring with me for something. And I found this to be a great reference guide for various plants. It has a good reference to look up diseases that your plants can get and such things. So if you're a gardener, I would recommend this when it actually comes out. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars for what it was. After that, I kind of got into the more Halloween-y swing of things, and I read Mother Thing by Annalise Hogarth. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, and this was a pretty good kind of thriller-type story. Not really, but you kind of follow this lady through her life after her mother-in-law, I guess, commits suicide. They don't really ever tell you. She just gets hurt and then she dies, and then the aftermath of that. And the ending is pretty crazy. So I would recommend this if you haven't read it yet and you kind of like horror. It was a pretty good book. I had another NetGalley read after that, which was Blood of Pearls, The First American Genocide by Peter Von Pearl. Kind of funny there. I gave this a 5 out of 5 star read. This is very historical based, about the pearl trade in the early days of like Columbus exploration, and I wouldn't say early days of slave trade because there were slaves before that, but it's a few different viewpoints. So you have the historical stuff going on around, which is kind of put into detail, and then you also have the perspective of this tribe that gets taken over and ends up becoming slaves for the Europeans. Or Spanish, or however you want to say it. I guess more for the Spanish trade. I really enjoyed this book, and I think when it comes out, I'm going to incorporate this into my homeschooling because it's a very good look at that time frame and kind of really what went down. So I'm getting to the end of October now, and I read the second book of the Red Rising series, Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. I am still enjoying this series. At this point, I don't really know how they threw out a whole bunch more books. I guess you would say this is the trilogy, the first trilogy part. I think it's in sets. So I don't know if in the next set, if they change characters or whatever. I haven't read too much. I'm trying to go in as blind as possible. I gave Golden Sun a 4 out of 5 stars. I didn't like it as much as the first book, but I did like the kind of gigantic space battles that were in the second book. I'm not too much into intrigues type stuff, so that stuff was a little boring to me. And I think that's why it lost a star in my perspective. Like if it was just straight up space battles, I'd probably be like, oh, this is amazing. But it obviously can't be that. It's more of an intrigue type thing, and trying to throw governments and all that. So I gave that what I gave that, but I am excited to see what the next book has in store. So my last book for October was Journal of the Plague Year, an omnibus of apocalypse times. It's by C.B. Harvey, Malcolm F. Cross, and Adrian Tchaikovsky. So it's one story for each of the three people, each of the three writers there. I couldn't honestly tell you what my favorite one was. So first you have one that was kind of in space, so you have a character that's in International Space Station. It's his first sortie, and kind of the stuff that's going down on Earth that he has no control over, and the things that happen on the space station. These all seem to be linked because it is, I think, the same kind of, I guess I'll say, it's the same thing that happens on Earth and the subsequent stages of that. So in the first one, what's happening is just getting started. In the second one, it's been a few months. And in the third one, I think it's been like a year or so after that. I think 2 years after that. So it's the same situation from different perspectives in different parts of the world. And it was really cool. So, like a week or so ago, we ended up moving to a different spot here in Vermont, and I was able to get a library card in this new spot, and it's like a monthly thing, so it's like a visitor pass almost, and I have to go get a new card every month, which is kind of a hassle. So as far as updates go, that should be it for the update, as well as what I read in October. And if I have anything that I really want to rant and rave about, I will go from there, and we'll just start from where we left off. If you would like to follow along or contact me in any of these capacities, they're all on my channel, in my description. And please like, follow, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys here soon. Let's continue reading.